Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another guide. This guide is going to be but kind of the same as my last guide I did, which was on fractals and making gold in them and kind of early tier progression. But I want to touch on the ascended gear a little bit more in this video. How to get it, how quick it'll take, and I guess how long it will take, depending on what your definition of quick is. So if you go into the fractals here, first thing you want to do, if you don't know anything about fractals and how to get gear and stuff and what you need to look for, is you want to head over to the fractal settings console over here. If you're just first coming in, you're probably on tier 1. If not, you probably already know how to work all this, what all this stuff means. So when you come up here, you see the purple icons next to certain fractals. Each day these change. They are your dailies and your daily recommendeds. So you can read, you may not be able to see it because it's dark purple, but it says this one is a daily recommended, and then you have 3 dailies. Daily tier 1s, daily recommended. And you have the recommendeds, 1 in each tier, up to 3. There isn't 1 in 4. And you have the 3 same dailies in each tier. Now, the reason you want to be aware of these is because if you can, you should be doing your dailies each day, and you should be doing your daily recommended each day as well. Now, the point for this is that the daily recommendeds give you a item called a fractal research page, and these fractal research pages are used in buying your ascended gear from fractals. So if we head over to Bling 9009, you can click on him. The second page here starts the ascended gear. So we have the ascended armor and we have ascended weapons. I would, if you're just starting out on this and you don't have any ascended gear, I would most likely start with the armor and then maybe get a weapon at another point. Weapons are hard to get kind of in this game, ascended weapons. However, there are a few ways of getting them easily and basically for free. And I'll maybe touch on that at the end or save that for another video. But for now, let's look at the armor. So if you look at the cost of these armors, 2 gold, 3 gold, not much. And then you need Grandmaster Marks for the weight class of the armor. So we have Grandmaster Armorsmith Marks, Grandmaster Leatherworkers Marks, and Grandmaster Tailor's Marks. So heavy, medium, and light armor. And then we have the fractal research pages, which I had just mentioned, and we have fractal relics. So those are the currencies and materials used to get your ascended fractal gear. And let's go over where you get these. So as I mentioned, the daily recommendeds give you fractal research pages, and if you ever want to know what they are for the current day, you could go into your achievement panel, go to dailies, go to daily fractals, and you can look at them. So you have the 3 daily recommendeds, and then you have your dailies. So daily tier 4s, tier 3s, 2s, and 1s. Before we go any further, when you do the dailies, if you do tier 4 dailies, you'll get all the rewards from the tiers underneath that, and so on. So tier 3, you'll get 3, 2, and 1 rewards, and whatnot. So you don't have to go through each tier and do all of the dailies. You only have to do 3 of the dailies, 3 dailies in any tier, and then the recommendeds in their tiers. So you'll have to go to tier 3 if you're in tier 3 and do the recommended, and then the same for tier 2 and tier 1. Now if you get to the point where you're doing CM, the CM fractals, you'll get extra research pages from them, but by the time you're there, you'll probably be well past needing ascended gear. So this is the main way to get it. You can get 3 a day. So once you let's Let's see, look at my notes here. All right, so the Grandmaster Marks is really the the only thing that kind of is a little bit difficult to understand. You do have to craft them. You can't buy them or anything. So getting your fractal relics and your research pages are kind of just easy. You just do them each day, hour or two a day. Commit to doing your dailies and your recommends, and you'll get enough. You'll probably never run out of fractal relics. Honestly, it's like the main currency in fractals. And the pages are a little bit of a slow go, just because they're time gated, and you can only get 3 a day. And your Grandmaster Marks are also time gated, but they don't have to be. If you, with the gold that you acquire from doing fractals, you can easily use that to speed up the process and buy materials that otherwise cannot be crafted more than once a day to make those Grandmaster Marks. So I'll show you where to craft these Grandmaster Marks at. Let's go out to Lion's Arch, or you can really go anywhere, any crafting areas or profession areas, I guess. Sorry, I got a bit of a cold, so I'm sniffing still. Alright, let's go over to the Traders Forum. So, crafting these Grandmaster Marks isn't really expensive if you have the materials already, or you farm the materials, or you get these materials to craft them just on a daily basis and whatever else you might be doing. So to craft these so this is the Tailor's Grandmaster Marks. This is not for the medium or the heavy, but the medium and heavy will basically be the same thing. I think this down here will change. This will be like a bolt of leather something, and then the heavy one will be like some type of metal, a bolt, or not a bolt, but some type of metal material here. So you'll just have to check that out. So these top 3 here can be crafted in an unlimited amount a day. The one for each of the marks will be at the bottom. Those can only be done 1 a day, and that's what the kind of the time gate is. And while you're doing your recs and your dailies, it's not super important to have to like use more gold than you should and buy these basically because they are expensive. So I wouldn't really recommend buying all this stuff. If you can craft the stuff, craft it. It'll be cheaper. But at the end of the day, you gotta do what you gotta do. And if you want to send it gear and you want it quicker, then you might have to do this. So, but all in all, either way you do it, it's gonna take probably about a month if you're running them every day. You'll get ascended drop if you're moving up to tiers regularly and getting ascended gear and infusing them with +9s, which I'll go over in a little bit. You'll get more ascended gear than what you're buying from the vendor, because you'll get drops as well that could fill in spaces for you. So let's check these out real quick. So the carbonized mithril ingot, you need these materials, and oh, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Each of these it's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize. Each of these you can only craft once per day. This material right here. So technically you can just buy all this stuff. Okay, so this is the 4th one, is the one that does not require a daily cooldown. My fault. Alright, so these first 3 in all of the weight classes will require a daily cooldown. However, if you go into this one, this is what requires the daily cooldown, because if you go to craft it, it will say you can only craft item once per day. It's not very expensive to craft these Grandmaster Marks, but like I said, if you want to speed the process up, you can buy them on the trading post. You can buy just the finished material here. You can just buy all these on the trading post and not have to worry about the crafting once per day. I did that when I started out. I just used the gold I was making from fractals and put it into these, and I was also doing other events daily that helped, and that was my goal at the time, and I got it fully ascended on my first character when I had started in about about a month. Um, not completely from Fractals, but I'd say about 80% of the gear I had after a month of starting these dailies and Fractals was just from Fracs. So that's how you craft these. They're not really difficult, but you know, any crafting in most games are a little can be a little complex, and in this game there's so much there's so many materials and resources and currencies you need to do all types of different stuff. It's nice to kind of have a guide here. So these first three in any of the weight classes will be on a daily cooldown. You can skip the daily cooldown by just buying these if you don't want to craft them and take the time to do that. Again, you will have to wait for the research pages to accumulate those, so there's no point in really buying these really quick unless you already have a lot of research pages and you just want to get them done. And then the bottom one is a pretty simple one. These are a little expensive. You might want to craft these if you have the materials. But other than that, they're easy. Get them. And you need a certain amount for each piece. And I'll go back in there and go over that. Look at that vendor again. And once you craft these, you basically, you can equip them, use them, put your infusions in them, whatever infusions you might be wanting to use, and get up to more tiers, get to higher tiers. So let's look at the infusions that we need, the infusions that we want to get, and figure out what's best for you guys to progress faster into the tiers, which should be everyone's goal when doing fracs. So we come over here, we go to the infuse golem here. Now normally you're going to be just on this first tab. These other tabs will come later when you decide to do other things. Just real quick, the first tab is converting your +1 agony infusions, which you get just from doing fracs, or you can buy any infusion on the trading post if you want. The first tab is converting +1s into other pluses. The second one is converting +3s, +5s, +7s, and a +9 into 11s. And then all these other tabs will kind of come later. You don't really need these unless you get +3s or 5s that you want to just convert, or that you get them as drops, but it does take quite a bit. The best thing to do is just to use +1 since you usually always have an abundance of them, and just convert a stack into a +9. And you would be using +9s in your gear. You should only be using +9s. If you feel like using +11, sure, but never go to 7s. And the reason is because, let's see here, I may not be fully slotted with agony resistance. I'm not. I think I have a couple higher ones. I can't remember. I don't. Okay. Well, the highest, here's your agony right here. And the gear I have on is giving me 163. The highest agony resistance that is recommended for fractals is at tier 4, and it's the last one, and it is 150. So I'm over the recommended amount for the last fractal, so I don't really have to worry about anything. But with all +9s, you get around this number. So +7s will take you much, it will not give you enough, and +11s will give you way too many. You don't need it, and they're just a little bit too expensive. So you want to have +9s, you want to put +9s in. If you feel like dabbling in the statted infusions, which are also in this vendor on other tabs, you can do that. Just make sure you aim for the +9s if you're going to do these. They're pretty expensive, but if you want them, get them. Here we go. Alright. So that's it for the infusions, +9s. Let's see here. Oh, here another thing. If you're new to Fracs, and you don't know this, to check the agony, the recommended agony resistance for the fractals you want to run, just go back up here and hover over one of these. So tier 1, on the right hand side of the pop out here, it says 0. That's the recommended amount of agony that this fractal will want you to have. And you can basically do all of tier 1 without having any agony resistance. And agony in fractals is kind of like a passive damage that ticks on you in certain times within a fractal. Mostly when entering a boss fight in different phases of bosses, you'll just get a lot of damage done to you. And if usually the rule of thumb is 10, have at least 10, be 10 away from the recommended amount. So if you're at 0 and you're doing this one, may be okay. Might want to get a little bit, want to get at least like 1 plus 9 in you somewhere before getting this high. But if your team's confident, or you have someone that runs tier 4s with you, that's kind of carrying the group a little bit, sure, shouldn't be that big of a deal. But an easy way to actually get into tier 2s quickly, since half of tier 2s only require like 40, you can get 36 AR pretty quickly. If you run the dailies and the Rex for a couple days, you will get pristine fractal relics, which are like fractal relics, but just a little bit rarer to get. You get them from the dailies. I believe they only come from the dailies, possibly the Rex as well. But when you acquire some, come over here. For 10 of these, you can get ascended rings. Now these ascended rings aren't the best because they only have 1 infusion slot when you buy them, and you'll be getting a lot of rings from fractals. They drop a lot, and sometimes they'll be infused already with 2 slots for agony resistance, and that's better because you'll have double. But what you can do to get around that, just for the beginning of your tier progression, to kind of give you a nice boost, is to buy 2 of these rings whenever you're able to, or buy 1 and then buy another one, and add another infusion slot to them, which is very cheap, and put essentially 4 infusions on, which will give you 36 agony resistance, and that'll let you do a little bit over half of tier 2 already. And you may also have done Heart of Thorns story, and at the end of the Heart of Thorns story, you can do like an hour-long collection quest that gives you a choice of 5 different types of ascended weapons. I think it's great sword, shield, scepter, maybe. Can't really remember. It's Calidbog. I'll put a link to it in the description. I'll put a couple links in the description for reference if you guys need. But that's a great way to get a free ascended weapon, and you could also get a free ascended back piece from completing the POF storyline and doing a little collection quest at the end as well. That's about an hour's worth of time too, and I'll put a link to that as well. But anyway, if you get one of these rings, I may have one in my thing, but I'm just going to go ahead and buy one. So say we're going for power damage. Say we're a necromancer and we're a reaper, and you just want to do a lot of power damage. So what you'll want to do for power damage, if that's the way you're going, is get berserker stats, and that would be power, precision, ferocity, power being top. And with these rings, and with other rings like it, you'll want to make sure you check the description of the ring, and where it says unique, that means only one of these can be equipped at a time on your character, or on this equipment template here. So I could only equip this one. I cannot equip 2 of these. However, there's 2 rings of the same stats for all stats in this vendor. So I could buy a crystalline band, and I can buy a red ring of death, and I can equip both of them. So, did I buy one already? Nope. So let me just go ahead and buy one and show you the process of infusing these.
Goodbye.
Alright. Giving them another slot. So to infuse a ascended ring, and this can be done with one slot or one with 2 slots. When you infuse an ascended ring, the first way you're going to want to infuse it, and I would never recommend infusing a ring twice, because when you do it a second time on that same ring, it's a lot more expensive. It's going to take items like these down here. Right. Okay, so the first thing you need is the ring. You need a +1 agony infusion, which I'll get out of my bank in a second. And then you need agonized essence, I believe. We'll see. We'll see if this is actually what we need, if I remember correctly. So we got a ring, we got the agonized essence, we have a +1, just one of them. And then we're going to go to the Mystic Forge for the last ingredient. You'll be going to the Vender next to the Mystic Forge, Mayani. You'll be buying something off her. And this is a really great way to boost your agony resistance really quickly. Now you can only add more than one slot to rings and backpacks, and you do it basically the same way. The only other things that come with more than one agony or one infusion slot are two-handed weapons. They'll have 2 on them. Alright, so let me hit up Ayani. What do you have for sale? And I believe what we're looking for here is the Anthology of Heroes. Let me just look through, double check, make sure. I'll just go ahead and buy it and find out. Go into the forge, click it. Let's see. No, that was wrong. Let me check real quick here. The right material we need. Let's see. Agonized. Oh, Philosopher's Stone. Okay. That's right. So we need a Philosopher's Stone. It's even better. Seems like a little bit cheap. I only need 1, but you're going to have to buy 10. So Philosopher's Stone, the AR, the Agonized Essence, and the Crystalline Band. Now before we do this, if you ever infuse anything like this, or change the stat of Ascended Gear, when you use the Mystic Forge to change something, it will reset it to its base, trying to think of the word, its base armor type, like its most generic form. So if you put a piece of armor in here, a piece of Ascended armor, and that's like maybe Viper stat, and you want to change it to Berserker stats, and you change it, and it comes out like this. This armor, piece of armor, it's not going to happen to this because I didn't have anything in it, but this piece of armor, any infusions that were in it, if you didn't extract them, are deleted forever. You won't get them back. And it will turn into its base thing. So a Berserker would turn into a Zoja. Okay? So just be aware of that. Make sure you take out any infusions and make sure you research what you're doing before you do it. So we just forged this with those really cheap components. Costs about 20 silver, I think. Now you have 2 slots. And if you have another ring, you have 4 slots. 36 AR. You're making your way to the tops at that point. And then from there on out, just work on gear. If you want to use laurels to get some other stuff, do it. One thing I will mention, amulets cannot have infusion. They don't have infusion slots, so don't go buying an amulet somewhere thinking that you're going to have 9 more AR, because that's not how amulets work. They take enrichment slots, which have nothing to do with AR. Alright? Everything else but that. Alrighty. Let's head back into the Frac's. So we talked about the +9s, how to infuse rings and backpacks, how to craft the armor, what to do to get the resources to craft the armor. Now we're going to look back at this ring vendor real quick. The second tab in this ring vendor is pretty nice. These trinkets, the accessories, the amulet, and the rings are by far the best trinkets in the game, bar none. The reason is because they are 100% stat selectable when you get them, and you can reset them with a miscapacitor to stat select them a second time. So essentially these are stat selectable rings times 2, or I'm sorry, rings, trinkets, all of them are, with the use of the miscapacitor. and the rings start off with 2 slots. So to get 3 slots will be very cheap. You could just do exactly what I did with that 1 slotted ring, and you'll have 3 slots. Now, a little bit more expensive. You'll have to get 100 pristine relics just for one of these, and you'll also need, I think, about 50 more or 40 more pristine relics to make these integrated fractal matrices. I think they're 20 each. So you'll need 2 of those, and you can go over here to this vendor again, and there they are. Okay, 30. You'll need 30 more. Oh no, these are just regular relics. My fault. So, but you will need stabilizing matrices, which drop in fractals, and you can, whenever you get that, you can make 2 of them. Go back over there and buy one of them if you feel like it. I normally just stick with the rings. When I started out, I would just stick with buying the rings because they're so nice. When I would get a chance, I would get one. These you can just get from other places, story, living world seasons, expansions, achievements, collections, stuff like that. Other content, you'll be able to get good accessories and good amulets as well. So I wouldn't worry too much about those. If you have laurels and you want to spend them, laurels are something you get from daily login rewards, and that's it. They're not super useful, unfortunately. They can be used to make a little bit of gold here and there from these crafting bags. I wouldn't really recommend using them. Maybe if you already have a set, like you don't need really anything. But what I would do if I was new and didn't have much ascended gear, actually what I did do was I just bought ascended trinkets from this vendor. So you can see accessories you can buy, and this is the same with the rings in the other vendor. There's 2 of each stat for the accessories, and the accessories are these 2 right here, if you have forgotten. The amulet ascended gear was right here. I wouldn't recommend that unless you've already gotten your trinkets and rings, just because it doesn't give you AR, and that's what you would want it for fractals. But you can do the same thing with the rings here, except infusing them again. You can buy 2 of them, use your laurels for them if you feel like it, get a head start. Some ectoplasm. A lot of people don't recommend this because that's kind of expensive. And the laurels is kind of expensive too. Just the amount of time you have to wait to get that many laurels. But if you have them and you're not going to use them for anything, why not? You can get accessories from other places, like I said. It's just if you only feel like doing fracts, if you only have enough time to log in for a couple hours a day, this is a good way to get them and to get higher in the tiers. But yeah. So that's about everything. You can also visit this vendor here. This vendor is a potion vendor, and they sell you fractal potions, which boost your stats. You get more defense, more mobility, and more offense. These potions right here are must-haves. You will get them as drops in fractals, but these are must-haves, and must-use when you get into like tier 4. They make a huge difference. Huge difference. And you also have the Anguish Tears of Alba. If you don't have a lot of agony resistance and you're still working on that, and you have a daily that you're a little bit under, and you need to boost your AR up a little bit to be more confident in it and not die, you can buy some of these. Don't buy too many at once because the price does go up. But this gives you 10 agony resistance, and it gives you an extra 5 if you have the Fractal Attunement Mastery completed. And you can find that in Tyria Fractal Attunement. So you would need these done to unlock Mistlock Singularities. And the Mistlock Singularity also gives you, I think, 5 AR. If it doesn't, I think I'm just thinking of the +5 it gives you from that potion there. So yeah.
Until we converse again.
I think that's about it for this little guide. Appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you want. Check the description for details and links to some of the things I was talking about. I'll try and get as many links in the description as possible, so it's easy for you guys to find exactly what I was looking at and keep track of things while you're progressing through this. Take care, spread the knowledge, and I'll see you next time.